Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to Strange Investigations. As always, I'm your host, Ron Swanson. Now, today we are going to be diving into the Heaven's Gate cult. Now, this is a very interesting one. It dives into some pretty deep subjects, and it ends with a real tragedy. So, listen through this story, and let's buckle up and get right on into it. Now, this story begins with a man named Marshall Applewhite. Now, Marshall Applewhite had a heart attack. This began in the early 70s, and he nearly died and ended up in the hospital. He ended up making a recovery, and he met a nurse named Bonnie Nettles, and they would actually end up becoming the co-founders of this cult. Now, the reason that he believed that those two were the chosen ones were because of Revelations 11:3, and they believed that they were the two witnesses because in his near-death experience he believed that he saw that he became like the new voice of Christ, basically. Now, they began going by the aliases Bo and Peep, and they ended up beginning a new religious sect, and they called it the Human Individual Metamorphosis. So they believed they would metamorphosize into the next state, and they would travel through America trying to find members. They ended up going to a desert in Colorado with the group to try to find an unexpected UFO that never ended up appearing, and the group was growing pretty fast. They had a pretty solid amount of members. However, Nettles would eventually die of cancer in 1985. Now, Applewhite would continue to refine their beliefs and continue building upon what they had before. Now, in 1993, Applewhite would form a new religious sect. We'd call it the Total Overcomers Anonymous. And in this new sect, he would explain about the Earth's recycling, is what he would call it. He believed that Earth would be recycled, that the people on Earth and all the life would all have a great reset, basically. And he would rename this new sect eventually Heaven's Gate, which is what the name that this cult is famous for. And it's pretty crazy. His beliefs, he believed that what was going on in Revelations was happening to him. He believed that he was basically the new Christ, bringing in messages for the people, and he believed that there was going to be a great reset of the world, basically, which, I mean, it's pretty crazy. There's lots of crazy religions out there, but Heaven's Gate is a real wild one. To build a financial sustainability, they would use the cult would do this through websites, and they would use the name the Higher Authority. And they had a lot of beliefs. The cult's philosophy states that 2,000 years ago, extraterrestrials from heaven, or the kingdom of heaven, visited Earth. One of the visitors would command the mind of Jesus to spread the messages of heaven. And he would share that the visitor that was commanding the mind of Jesus was now commanding his mind, basically making him the new Jesus is what he wanted his people to believe. Feels really controlling. I don't know if he actually believed this. I don't know if this guy was crazy or if he was just power hungry. By the way the story ends, I believe that this man did truly believe this, but yeah, it's pretty crazy what people will say, and it just shows how you really have to be skeptical of everything, because you never know if you might be ending up in just like a cult like a Heaven's Gate. It's pretty crazy. Now, around this time, Applewhite would start using the new name Doe, as in D-O. He stated that Earth would soon be recycled and all the life would be renewed. He also believed that they needed to leave their physical bodies to make what he called the next level, also known as heaven. He also believed that the comet Hale-Bopp was actually hiding a spacecraft, and that they needed to reach that to make it to the kingdom of heaven. Now, the group, or the cult, lived on a 3-acre property, all in a mansion together in Santa Fe, California. They all considered themselves to be extremely close and considered each other to be family. They would call each other by brother and sister. And 6 of the 8 male members actually went to Mexico so they could be castrated due to their beliefs of abstinence. And it really goes to show how far this cult was willing to go and how strongly they believed these things. And that would lead to the tragedy that we're actually up and coming to. And here's the part where we get into the most unfortunate part of this story, the part that really makes you grieve for everybody involved, and it's really just crazy what length people go to when they're convinced things by what seems to be just this crazy guy. Now, the group would commit a mass suicide, and this is the true tragedy of the story. 15 of the suicides were on March 24th, another 15 happened on March 25th, and 9 on the 26th. This one consists of 21 women and 18 men. It's just really sad. These people obviously didn't know what they were getting themselves into, and they joined this cult. And as I mentioned before, somewhere between 6 to 8 of the male members got castrated. It really shows how far these people were really willing to go, and now they've committed suicide, believing this was a way they could actually reach the spacecraft, because they believed that they needed to leave their physical bodies to reach this spacecraft that was apparently hiding in Hale-Bopp Comet. So they ended up going to the area where it was flying over and killing themselves over this 3-day period. Now, the method that they mainly used would include crushing up sleeping pills. They would add these pills to either an applesauce or a pudding. They would then wash it down with vodka. The surviving members would take these plastic bags and place them over the drugged members' heads after they fell asleep to guarantee that they would die from this suicide. The members would all be found lying neatly on bed by authorities with a purple cloth over their chest, a black shirt, and black pants. They would all have new Nike shoes on. They would also each have a $5 bill and 3 quarters in their pockets. Well, after this mass suicide, 3 members of the cult would actually still be alive. Rio D'Angelo would be one of them. He was chosen by the cult to make sure that the literature was still passed on to other people, to try to indoctrinate more people into the Heaven's Gate cult. And also Wayne Cook and Charlie Humphreys were also former members at the and they did not die at the time. They did not commit suicide, but they would eventually off themselves to rejoin with the group shortly later. And I gotta say, this is a real tragic case, the saddest one one could argue that we've gotten into so far. Anything involving just offing a mass group of people just being misinformed and just being tricked into believing these just honestly ridiculous beliefs, just being manipulated by this evil man, Applewhite. And I don't know if I should say evil, as he's probably a little bit, at least a little bit crazy. It might be too far, but I mean, when you get a bunch of people to off themselves, I mean, you definitely have some issues, and this was just really sad. So I think that what we have to do is just learn from this, and as a society we have to grow and make sure that we don't allow anything like this again. We have to inform people not to join these crazy cults like this, because really it's pretty bad when stuff like this happens. Obviously, so many people unfortunately died, so it's pretty awful. But that's gonna be it for today. Thanks for joining me on Strange Investigations. I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace out.